Fan Expo Dallas, how we doing? Woo! Where are Seinfeld fans at? Y'all out here? I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to have an amazing panel. My name is Victor Daniels, locally called the hardest working man in comics. It is my pleasure and honor to moderate this panel. And I do want to say that we're going to open things up to allow you guys to ask some questions. We have a microphone right here. Obviously, keep your questions respectful. Don't say anything weird. I will stare at you really hard. I might throw a shoe at you. It might happen. All right, don't make me do that, please. But as fans of one of the greatest sitcoms of all time, I think it's time for us to bring out our guests. Are y'all ready for that? I said, are y'all ready for that, Dallas? Ladies and gentlemen, keep that magic going. Show some love. Make all the noise for Mr. Phil Morris. Mr. Larry Thomas. Mr. Reunite. And Mr. Patrick Warburton. Yes. Welcome. Oh my goodness. The amount of comedic talent up here on the stage is astounding, but so very different. So I gotta know, when it comes to comedy, you gotta hold it, it's all about timing, right? When it comes to comedy, who are some of your heroes that inspired you to be so funny? Big Van Dyke. Yo, that's a good choice. That's a great choice. Larry, what about you?
W.C. Fields.
Yeah! You're going deep cuts.
How old are you?
I was a big fan of Lenny Bruce. So I'm
Classic, right? That's a little dirty. No, but that's awesome. I think that's one of the things that makes Seinfeld one of those resounding shows, because the comedy always hits, right? I think there's people that didn't grow up with the show but watch it right now and it still is super relevant. And you guys are a huge part of that. When it comes to a legacy of a show like this, how do you feel knowing that you had a great hand in its presentation?
Let me just get Jerry Lewis in there.
Come on, we got these
Great Jerry Lewis.
Yes. That's a good call.
I see so much of Jerry Lewis in that.
It's the mechanics, that's what it is, absolutely. I love it. But yeah, going into looking at the legacy of Seinfeld, how does it feel to see how big this show continues to be and knowing that you guys had a part of it?
I had no clue.
What?
I had no clue that they would be able to use a lawyer as often as they use it on the show. No idea that they could do that. For me, I came to the show as not a fan of the show, but not a fan of the show. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think as an actor that's better, because you don't come in as a fanboying out, they've been on the cover of Rolling Stone, whatever. It didn't matter to me. What I really liked was the level of play. The level of involvement, and they were all at the top of their game. Iron does sharpen iron. You become better if your competition is better. And so that's what I first got. I had no idea it would resonate like this, quite frankly.
Wow. That's incredible.
We actually started on the same season, and so season 7, they were such a well-oiled machine. It was amazing. I always tell people, and other actors, it was the easiest job I ever had.
Wow.
I mean, I've had 15-second commercials that were much more difficult. They were so easy, but I just wanted to say that what Wayne said about Lenny Bruce not figuring into Newman, W.C. Fields actually did figure into the Soup Nazi, because one thing I learned from his movies is you can be as bad as you want as long as everybody else in the movie is worse.
That's right.
And I knew enough about Seinfeld from being a fan that I could go as far as I wanted with the character because they were worse.
That is true. That is so true. I love it.
I think that the thing about Seinfeld was the level of commitment required in order to do the comedy properly.
Right.
Which meant that you had to hang it out there and be really in danger of screwing.
Let's go.
In
Okay.
order to make it work.
Right.
And then it really worked. And so that over time, you invested more and more in the character that you're doing, so that it was stronger, more, a little more, until, it felt right.
I love that.
But it was a unique experience because even though it was relaxed because everybody was good,
Right.
it was like opening on Broadway every time you did the show because the quality level had to be maintained.
Of course.
And when you sit down at the table and everybody's laughing at the page without you even doing it,
Right.
you better bring it up.
You gotta come up with it. Yes, I love that. Patrick.
Well, I was a fan of the show, so when I got to first do the show for the 6th season,
Right.
And, I famously said, in an Australian interview years ago that I avoided Jerry Seinfeld like the plague, which is something that ends up, it's very charming, very lovely, but I was smart enough to know that I didn't want to just be in a room alone with Jerry and say something stupid. I just wanted to hit my marks, get my laughs, and get invited back. So it had nothing to do with Jerry, that's just, but I love the show. We watched it religiously, and so when I finally had the opportunity to do it,
I love that.
just thrilled to be there. And it was you knew you were on the hallowed ground when you were at stage 9 at CBS Radford. You're like, well, I got to come back.
Absolutely.
And one quick thing, they knew what they wanted.
Yes.
Okay. When I came into audition Jackie, and I got it pretty quickly. When I went to the table read and I started working, a gentleman named Andy Ackerman was the director. And I'm rehearsing the first scene, and it's the normal actor, you're rehearsing and trying different things and exercising your character because I just kind of gotten introduced to Jackie. And so I'm trying different stuff, and Jerry's sitting there, but he's not directing, and he stops everything. And he said, whoa. What are you doing? I said, well, I got 5 days to kind of figure this guy out. He goes, oh, no. You know what you did in the audition for me on Saturday? I'm like, yeah. He goes, you spent all week to do that guy.
Wow.
Can you do that guy? I said it last week. So, my point is they knew. I mean, these are comedic geniuses, so even though we're all, I feel, very talented, we need pushing and guiding to the right areas to really raise our level, and that's what they helped me do, for sure.
And also, Larry David was probably the most relaxed person who ever scared the shit out of me. I was completely intimidated by Larry, just because he was so relaxedly sure of himself that I'm like, oh, this guy's trouble.
Well, I don't know when you were on it earlier, but by the time we got there, there's a certain thing that happens with those kind of audience sitcoms. You rehearse for 4 days, and then the 5th night you shoot the show. And every day when you get done rehearsing, all the network heads come down and they sit there and their secretaries take notes, and the next day nothing's funny. And by the time I got to Seinfeld, and we got to Seinfeld, network heads weren't allowed on the set, only Larry. So at the end of the rehearsal day, it was Andy would go, okay, let's do it for Larry. And Larry would just come down, and you knew that no matter what happened, he'd fix it if it was broken.
Yeah.
You just had complete faith. But as far as Jerry goes, the reason I love Jerry is because I went into the audition and I pretty much did what you see in the episode. And he laughed his head off, but he called me in again and he said, I don't understand why the character's so mean. Could you do it again and be a little nicer at times? So I went through all 6 scenes without the sound of a laugh. And, I thought, okay, well, there it goes, And then they hired me anyway, and I went to the set, and the first thing Jerry did was he comes over to me and he goes, you know what, man, forget about the direction I gave you. Just do what you did when you came in. The meaner, the funnier, I guess.
So what we can get from that is that Jerry is not a good director. That's my takeaway.
So I'm seeing a lot of hands now, like, yeah, What what I'm really curious about when it comes to such comedic voices being in the writer's room, when there's this idea that they have hired you to be this very specific person, do you feel like that's ever limiting you as an actor, or is it easier when there is that level of direction?
Well, I think one of the things is the kind of parts that you get on Seinfeld
Right.
are usually very full.
Okay,
And so
okay.
it's not like you have to like come up with 80 different things of a backstory for the guy. No, say the words funny and get out. I mean, it really is, it's like comedy writing when you're writing for a comic.
Right.
That as people play the roles over time, that the writers are writing for them. So when you come to the table, it's in your voice.
It's yours. I got you.
And so it really begins to sing because the writers hear the music of the people that dance.
Nice. Well said.
And I think they love these. I think they love these characters.
And some writers love certain characters,
And so
you give extra stuff to them.
Yeah. In the final episode, I was not there. I was doing a great show called The New Love Boat.
It was great.
Anyway, I was not there, and I was there for the table reading, and Larry said, "I'm reading Jackie." So we have all these pictures of Larry reading Jackie because he just loved Jackie. And that was kind of like a testament to how they felt about their show. They loved them, and that's why you get the best work out of it, and the best writing, in my opinion.
That's love. We all got to be written by different people, but Larry wrote the finale. So if you had never been written by Larry, then he picked up on all the other writers. Like, I didn't know I was going to be named Jeff Kassem in the finale. And I entered the studio with Grace Zabriskie, and we were doing that scene when the jury is out and they're showing you what all the characters are doing, and it was on a different lot. And so I drove in with her, walked her to her trailer, and there were a bunch of other trailers, and I went all the way around in a circle and came back, and she opened her door, and, "What's wrong?" And I went, "Oh, I think they forgot my trailer." And, you know, she marched me over to the AD, and she goes, "Did you forget Larry's trailer?" And she goes, "No, it's this one." And it said, "Yev Kassem" on it. Who the heck is Yev Kassem? But Larry made it up, you know.
Well, but you know, the real guy is Al Yevgeny.
Yeah.
Yes. So
So the
considering
finale was Larry's fault.
No.
Phil, you were great.
The show was so very referential of happenings of the 90s. Very iconic, by the way, they almost pulled things from the headlines. Was there a particular storyline that did that is one of your favorites?
I'm sorry, what?
So the way that Seinfeld really kind of references so many different things that actually happened in real life. Did you have any particular favorite references in the show?
I love the second Spitter episode, the way they just paralleled that whole thing.
Well, you know how that actually happened? It's Tom Leopold,
Okay.
who wrote that episode, was a big JFK assassination aficionado.
Wow.
He saw me playing a character in the film JFK.
Right?
The character I played had a name of Numa Bertel. That was his real name. That's the character I played.
Wow.
And so when we did, when he saw me in the movie, he's like, he got all excited about it. And he wanted to do something that had to do with the Kennedy assassination so that we could reenact the second Spitter, and then that became all of these baseball things.
That's
Who
incredible.
knew?
That's incredible. I love it. I love it. Phil?
The Henry Candy Bar heiress, you know, it's the braw's got to fight right up against the skin, like a dog, you know. It was, we had just come out of 2 years of Johnny Cochran overload and OJ burnout, and they literally, in the casting breakdown, they wanted somebody to approximate a Johnny Cochran-esque vibe. I have been going to the same barbershop as Johnny Cochran since I was 9 years old.
Wow.
I have been listening to that man, or had been listening to that man, pontificate on everything from the Oakland Raiders moving to LA back to Oakland again for my whole life just about. So his voice was in my head way before that trial. But they were so smart in culling a bit of that information here, a bit of that information there, so it would resonate with an entire population who had been inundated with that trial for 2 years. That's typical Seinfeld.
Jeez, Larry, did you have a favorite?
Well, the funny thing is I knew nothing about the real Al Yankovic when I auditioned. I mean, I literally just heard soup Nazi. They wanted a Middle Eastern accent, so I watched Omar Sharif and Lawrence of Arabia. And he said, "You're drifting boat and still drifting, be warned." And I went, okay, that's the voice I'll use. And there was nothing on paper until I got there. But little by little, Jerry said something to Spike Feresten, who wrote it. And Spike was a Letterman staffer, and they're the ones that nicknamed Al the Soup Nazi. So that's why he wrote it. But one day, Jerry said something like, "Spike, tell Larry a little bit about the real guy." And I went, "There's a real guy." So I guess I was doing something close to him without knowing it. And so yeah, you know, it was based on a real person. As outlandish as it is, Al Yankovic is even more outlandish.
I lived across the street from him.
Yeah.
On 55th Street in Manhattan. And I would go to the International Soup Kitchen where he was. And you know, it's on 55th and it's very close to Letterman's studio. So they probably went there to get stuff for lunch.
Well, yeah, that was their thing. Like, they'd send somebody out, "Well, get us some soup Nazi." So it was just a nickname.
And he would not give you the strawberry. There was a strawberry that he would put in there in his bread. And if he didn't like you, he wouldn't give you the strawberry.
Wow. The funniest thing is 8 years after my episode, I was in New York doing a play at the Westbury Music Fair, and I ran by his place on the way back from Central Park, and I saw it, and I thought, oh, I gotta stick my head in. So I stuck my head in his kitchen, expecting the worst, and he was actually really nice to me. He was like, "Come on in, man. You're very funny." He didn't like, you know, the N-word, but he thought I was
Like, Phil's face just screwed up for a second. The other word.
the other N-word. I'm Jewish, so the other N-word.
I got you. That's all. That's all. I appreciate it.
Throw me in.
Vinegar.
But it was really great. It was really great being a part of all, you know, for me, the smallest part here of the whole series, because it was, all the other episodes to me were amazing. My son, I think the happiest moment I ever had with him was we were watching the Briss episode, you know, with the Shaky, the Moyle, and the Pig Man. And there's that little exchange between Jason and George and Kramer about the Pig Man. And Kramer goes like, "You're gonna take the Pig Man in your car, right?" And George goes, "I don't know, we'll see." And Kramer goes, "Well, if the Pig Man had a car, he'd take you." And George goes, "Yeah, what if the Pig Man had a two-seater?" And Kramer goes, "Oh, George, get real." And my son stopped it. He was like 10 years old, and he goes, "Dad, I know why that's funny." And I said, "Why?" And he goes, "Because the Pig Man isn't real." And he says, "Get real." And I went, "That's it, you got it." So I knew that my son understood comedy, and it was great.
I love it. I love it. Guys, I want to invite you to ask some questions, and while you guys are lining up, I'm going to ask one last one. Wayne, in your opinion, why is Newman Jerry's nemesis?
This was well, you can look at it in a number of ways. There is an actual cause in the show,
Right.
which is the first time you see Newman, you hear him as Larry first, and then I went back and revoiced him.
Sorry.
The first time you see him on camera, the question is, he and Kramer are visiting a guy in a coma, and The question is, how long do you wait to hit on the girlfriend of a guy in a car? And as one of this guy's friends, I see that Jerry is starting to hit on his girlfriend. And I'm going to tell on him.
Wow.
And he buys me off with a drink steak. But that's the beginning of it. You know?
Yes.
And so there was a change in the show in terms of me being teamed with Kramer. And they wanted to make me into Jerry's nemesis. So that there was another cause for me to be coming around besides coming in with Kramer.
Gotcha.
And we did the first Hello Newman, Hello Jerry, and it went boom. And then we did it like 3 times. And it's like, do we keep doing this? Yes, yes.
Because it's absolutely hilarious.
Never got funny.
Yeah.
Hello, friend. How are we doing today?
I'm Patrick. I'm Patrick also.
Hey.
Saw you earlier. I'd like to know how each of you would say these pretzels are making me thirsty.
These pretzels are making me thirsty.
These pretzels are making me thirsty.
These pretzels are making me thirsty. These pretzels make me thirsty. We don't go home after that.
Yes. Thank you for that. That was fantastic. Hello.
Hey there. Nice to see you guys again. Big fan of the show. One of the classic comedy shows. So I guess you guys have enough. Ask you your favorite Seinfeld episode. So I'll change it up and ask you, what was your least favorite Seinfeld episode?
Whoa. Least favorite. If you had an answer, your least favorite Seinfeld episode.
Anyone I wasn't in?
Smart answer. There it is.
Any one of the first 4.
I think we can all agree that the first 4 were weak. They haven't found their stride yet. So.
Well, here's something interesting, real quick. The Seinfeld Chronicles was what that was called. Glenn Patnick, who was the head of Castle Rock, or not the head, but he ran Castle Rock for a couple other people. At the time, in his office, he had the scripts from the Seinfeld Chronicles in a glass case. And all of the reviews from all of the reviewers savaged the show. And so he kept it kind of like motivation. You know what I mean? They didn't know what they were talking about. They don't know. And obviously, they didn't know.
Yeah, I love that.
There's another Glenn Patnick story, and that is that Glenn Patnick would be at the table read, and he was a crack for the show. Every joke that was supposed to be funny, through the entire run of the show. Every time he sat at the table read, Glenn would tell you where the laugh was. And it made the whole thing strangely a lot more fun.
You gotta enjoy what other people enjoy. That's what it is. I like that. I like that. Hello.
Hello. I just want to say thank you guys for coming up to Dallas and all that. What would you say each of your characters' funniest moments in the show?
Could you define that? Ooh, that's a lot of funny.
I kind of know because Larry fixed one thing. Well, he fixed 2 things. But after the audience left, he said, don't get out of your costume, I want to do 2 changes. And one of the things was when Julia did the Al Pacino impression, which by the way, she hadn't seen Scent of a Woman, so Jerry had to teach Julia to imitate him imitating Al Pacino. But originally I just yelled no soup for you at her, and then Larry came to me and he goes, I like the way you bait George in the first scene with the you want bread? $3. He goes, I want you to bait Julia by saying like, very good, you know something? What? No soup for you. And I don't think he told her that he was changing it. So when I said, you know something, she kind of looked at me weird and went, what? And then I went, no soup for you. And she fell on the floor, and she's lying on the floor laughing. And You know, so that was like my favorite moment.
That's awesome. Most growing? I mean, that's hard. That's a tough question.
I think most of the things from Newman, you know, you'd like to come up with erudite text, things that he said. It's usually like falling on the floor with fleas, you know, I mean, and it's physical stuff.
Right.
And also, while doing Newman, I'm basically in a frenzy. So, cataloging what you're doing at that time is rather difficult.
One of my favorite things didn't even end up making a final cut. We shot this thing where I walked into the room and I told Elaine that I wasn't sure the scale was working, so I weighed myself and then I ate a pound of M&Ms. And I weighed myself, and it's fine.
Have you ever done that in real life? Be honest.
I like to think a little sharper than that, so what I'll do is I'll stand on the scale with the pound of M&Ms, and I'll slowly eat them through.
Hello.
Hello. My name is Vika. I'm a huge fan of Seinfeld. I wanted to just get to your show and I've loved it ever since. So my question for y'all is, who is your favorite character besides yourselves?
Ooh. Who's your favorite character besides yourself?
Mine was Shapey the Moyle, played by the late Charles XI.
Yeah.
I think that thing he did with the wine glass at the edge of the table is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And I was sure it wasn't scripted, so I wrote him one time on Facebook and I asked him, and he said, no, that was totally scripted. But the way he did it, it didn't look scripted.
That's incredible.
I think all these three guys are my favorite. Honestly, I'm here with them. I'm here with them, but I had worked with Patrick Warburton on a show called Dave's World, so I was very familiar with him.
Yes.
And when he came on Seinfeld, I was like, how much more perfect could this be? Him playing Elaine's boyfriend, she is gonna have a time. And then him, one episode. And we look at this and we think it resonated over so many episodes. One. That's how deep this guy went.
Yeah.
And then to steal scenes from Kramer and Jim, any of them, is something we hold. So I'm truly honored to be here with them. Because these three, that's why I'm here. I'm here for y'all. I'm here for y'all, but when they said we were going to be together, I have not seen them. I've seen Larry, but I haven't seen these guys probably since the finale. So to have the opportunity to be here with them and to say this to them, thank you for that question.
Hello. Wow. This is a dream. I'm seeing Kong, Emperor Zur, Dr. Sweet, and the guy from Austin Powers all together.
I suggest you hit sir.
My question is for Mr. Reunite. You got to be in two of my favorite films, Hail Caesar with the Coen brothers, and Blind Spotting, a very serious movie, but the guy who directed it would go on to do Raya and the Last Dragon. But my question is, how was it like working, it's a small role you had in both films. How was it like working on those projects and working with like the Coen brothers and Carlos Lopez Estrada, the director of Blind Spotting?
Very different from Blind Spotting to Hail Caesar. Hail Caesar was like, anytime you get a chance to work with the Coens, it's like, an amazing event. And my job in that was purely a comedic, physical thing, and then catching George Clooney. George Clooney, that bastard. I'm telling you, he's all muscle and bone. All muscle and bone. Like, bam! Oh, a very heavy man. Very heavy. But that was, you're just desperate to please. It's very much like being on Seinfeld in the sense that you know, they know. And then you just want to deliver, what's going on for them. And then in Blind Spotting, it's more of an exploration. It's more of an indie film where you're getting a chance to explore something in a direction that's not cut out for you. You have to find where you're going, and you find it together, and then you do the scene again. So there are a lot of different styles of acting, and you know, you act on stage, you act on film, you act on television, you do serious things, you do dark things, you do funny things. So I guess what happens is you learn to be truthful in different gradients, but always truthful. That's about it.
Thanks so much.
Hi, my name is Luke Berryhill, and I got a question for Wayne Nye. So Wayne, I'm a huge Toy Story fan.
Okay.
And what was it like for you voicing out in Toy Story 2?
It was one of the oddest things I was doing, because I was in New York doing art on Broadway, and I got the job. And so I was recording from a New York studio with John Lasseter on a screen before Zoom, before we did any of that stuff. So it was all remote, but with the director there, with people there, and you never know how it's going to be when you're doing feature animation, because they really make it. You just give them raw materials, and then they stitch those raw materials together. And you go, what a nice coat! You have no idea, you know. So what they allowed me to do, and then how they depicted it. Now, did it make me feel good about myself? No. But was it funny? Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I want to warn the line, we got like 10 minutes, so we'll try to get through as many folks as we possibly can.
Thank you for being here, and this question's for any of you who can answer it. I wanted to know, was there any iconic lines from the show that ended up actually being because of an impromptu rather than scripted?
Everything I said was scripted. Really, everything. I didn't improv, not one line. I don't know about anybody else, but no, I was letter word perfect on that show.
I had one. The line was "come back in 1 year," and somehow I just blurted out, "come back 1 year." And then I watched Larry and Jerry whispering to each other, and I just thought, you just got fired because you forgot to say "in." And after like a minute of them whispering, they both looked over at me and went, but I thought I was about to get fired because I didn't say "in."
You know what kills me is that over time, there are things that I thought I improv'd. I don't know if I did or not. I really don't know. I gotta go back and find the script to find out if I actually improv that. Because I think in when my truck bursts into flame, I believe that over the humanity may have come out of the conversation about the flames because of the anger. I'm not sure. The one I'm sure about is during the rant on the Nail Never Stops. It's publishers clearing out sweepstakes.
You know, I feel like they love what they wrote, and for good reason they love what they wrote. And what it came down to is it was all very, very specific. So what it all came down to is, you know, delivery and who would fit these roles and say exactly what they wrote the way that they wanted them. And I remember when I read for Buddy, you know, I was in a room with a bunch of like, you know, tall beats and minis, like typical New York City mechanics, so I felt like that wasn't me. And so with lines like, you know, I don't do the twist of the scroll, and Buddy would say things like, yeah, that's right. And so I just turned it into, yeah, that's right. You know, I'm just making it as stupid as I could, and that seemed to appeal to them. So like anything was changed, just like we want to go that direction with this dialogue. But yeah, I don't think I wrote a word.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Thank you. Hello.
Hey guys, I'm Kelly, and I'm a huge fan, but
just to be a part of the Disney feature, you know, and that whole process with the storyboard artists and everything, it was very, very involved. And they film you when you talk, they animate to your face. The whole process is great. When we lend our voices to something, like what I was talking about earlier, it's so fun to see how everything comes together because it's a compilation of hundreds of artists putting things together. You get to see that all come together and realize you have that great opportunity to lend a voice and have everybody, you know, make you look good and make the character work. I would have to say, you know, it was being part of a Disney film in the process was just my favorite part. And of course, it was so much fun to see what was written, you know, and what we would get to do.
It's brilliant. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, 5 minutes. Let's see how many more we can get through. Hello.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Issa. First of all, Mr. Knight, it was wonderful and a pleasure to meet you yesterday. Mr. Thomas and Morris, I look forward to meeting you guys in the future, just not tomorrow. My question is specifically for Mr. Warburton. I know you mainly from voice roles. Are there any roles you only did once or from your early career that you wouldn't mind reprising or doing again?
Are you talking about live action or animation?
Animation.
Animation? I don't know. There's one animated project I've been doing forever. Family Guy.
That's right.
Other things, it would be great. It'd be fun if they brought back, and we did some more Venture Brothers. That'd be fun. You know, you never know what's going to happen in that realm. You know, that would probably be it.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Cheers, you too.
Hello. Hey guys, I'm just blown away because 4 of my favorite supporting characters here on Seinfeld. It's like a birthday miracle as well as an early Festivus miracle. So, my question for you guys is, was there a deleted scene that you guys were in? You're like, man, I wish I was in the show. Just something that you thought, ooh, that was really good, but they're like, nah, that good. No. Seemingly, all my craziness makes. Oh, here's the story though. They knew about me because of the New York mayoral race.
Okay.
They did an episode about yogurt, and it was about Giuliani or Mayor Dinkins at the time, and they're 2 press secretaries. So we shot me as Dinkins' press secretary, they shot somebody else as Giuliani's press secretary, and whoever won the election, that's the actor that was going to be in the episode. So I had Larry directing me, just me, doing this speech about yogurt for Mayor Dinkins, but Giuliani won. So I guess that didn't make it.
Technically, yeah.
But it did put me on the radar for that. Nice.
Anybody else? No? Okay. We got time for one more question. You're going to bring us home. Hello.
Hello. My name is John. I want to say our show is my comfort show, and so thank you so much for being part of that. My question is, so in any career, like an athlete, there's a lot of basic things you can do to skyrocket your career. So like you're an athlete, hydrate, stretch, just very basic stuff that goes a long way. And if you're a person who has done just basically no acting, what are some basic, like surface level stuff that you have to use every day as an actor that you just can't live without as an actor that helps your career?
I like to lie to strangers. Because it's a skill that you must have as an actor. It's one thing to lie to your family and lie to your friends, but you have to lie to strangers, and they have to believe you. So every day, I find me a stranger, tell a tale.
Love it. Patrick, what about you? You think?
I don't know. I can't read that. Sorry.
Larry?
Well, on a less funny note, the goal of acting, I mean, you may use any method you want, but the goal of an actor is to not know what happens next. Like, you gotta fool yourself to not knowing what the other person person's going to say, not knowing how the event's going to end. And so, you know, whenever, like every day of your life, you have to remember it for when you're acting. Going like you're going to say something to somebody and you don't know what they're going to say back to you. So in your head, you're just going like, you got to remember this. You know, because this is the way I have to do it next time I act.
Play. That's right. It's called a teleplay, a screenplay, a play. So the more you play, the better your character will respond to what you give it. When you're beating yourself up over it, the less likely you're going to come up with organic material. Continue to play.
Thank y'all.
That was incredible.